Hello, everyone. SISociety here. We are so honored to have you back for another episode of our Taboo Talks, this conversation. I'm so excited for having us, Dania Levy, and Heather will be here with us as well. Thank you. Very precious to me, the Ankh. Hello, beloved.
Hi.
Welcome, welcome. Heather's joining us now. So this is our last episode covering the topic of play parties for those of you who've been tuning in. Hi, Heather. Oh, some of my favorite people in the world. Yeah, so we're cis and we have these taboo conversations every Wednesday to explore the unexplored realms around our sensuality, intimacy, and sexuality. And tonight we have the honor of chatting with my beloved Daniel Levy. He is a real life pleasure priest. He is a community connector and is deeply passionate about intentional connection, sensual movement, acro yoga, ecstatic partner connection dancing. Is also the founder and creator of multiple businesses, including Humandalas, which is an intentional community connection kind of setting. I can have you explain this more too, Danielle. And also Villages.io, which is an alternative currency platform. So without further ado, I'm just going to have you introduce yourself, Danielle, and share what you want with everyone here tuning in.
Okay. Aloha. I'm Daniel Levy. And I am passionate about connection in general. Um, I love acro yoga, contact dance, massage, aquatic body work. I created the Humanitas workshop, which is like such a incredible way to connect with people in a really safe, family-friendly container. And Villages is a way to build more trust and resilience in local communities. So I'm just passionate about connection, passionate about community building. Um, I'm passionate about sensuality and sensual touch and connection as well. I find it so healing and nourishing for me. Soft, light touch and just exploring all the realms of touch. I guess I think of myself as pansensual person. So I'm someone that not necessarily being sexual with everybody, but I am very just sensual. I love just touch and exploring sound a lot. A lot of connection for me is about sound and finding just peak pleasure experience through our shared toning and resonance and things like that. That's a little bit about me. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, and this is maybe some new ideas and words and concepts for some of you who might be watching this to hear. And I would love to go more into all of this in depth with, yeah, with pleasure, with senses, and how this relates to like group settings as well. But first of all, we want to ask you a question. So Heather, do you want to ask this question?
Yeah, I decided that we want to open up calls with the same question every week. And we both channeled the following question. Really curious about where you're going to take it. So we want to know, what is the
The, pur-
purpose of
the
sexuality to
purpose of
you
sexuality? Oh,
in your life?
well, I'll say that I tend to be just a very sensual being. Like I feel like sensual connection. I feel like gravity. The wind is like touches me sensually and like turns me on. You know, I can like be breathing and just like the smell of flowers or the environment where I am will just like get my whole energy system going. I think sexuality is a primal creation, like energetic force. You know, it's the energy that drives creation, that causes evolution, and, you know, that causes humans to create, to reproduce, right? I mean, sexuality is life. It's the life force energy, and you know, as long as it's consensual, right? Consensual and um, I just love it. It's powerful. It's healing. It's beautiful. And it's a shame that people have so much shame around it. You know that people can't. You know, or you know, like me, I choose to enjoy it, embrace it. It's just a beautiful thing. There's nothing to be ashamed of. You know, in our sexuality, sex is beautiful. You know. Yes, sex is beautiful. Sexuality is beautiful. You know, yeah, yeah. It's just beautiful. And like, I think that, yeah, I just can't be like personally, like in relationships and relating, you know, it's like, uh, yeah, I want to be empowered. I just love it. Like Elfina and I have been partnering for a little while here since July and exploring with open relating and and I just yeah I am just such a sensual sexual being and I don't feel I'm not doing it now. It's consensual and everybody's enjoying themselves. I think that's great. And for me, it's just so healing. It's grounding. It nourishes my soul. It makes me feel empowered. You know, I have neurological issues, and it just calms everything. Being touched sensually, being in sensual or sexual space, just calms my. The healing power of it is just so clear in my eyes, in my being. It's just so obvious the healing power of sexuality and sensuality. Um, and yeah, I'm glad that I don't have as much stigma around it as many people do. I guess I kind of grew up with it being destigmatized. I guess I'll say my father was a reproductive biologist. My mom is uh, is bisexual or lesbian, and had other lovers. And um, for me, my first sexual experiences were in groups too. And I mean, I'm one who I don't feel you have to be in love to enjoy sex with someone, and also you don't have to, have, yeah, you don't have to be in love to enjoy sex, and you don't have to um, have sex just because with people you're in love with too. It's like you can, all the dynamics are unique and beautiful, and we can definitely be embracing all the different types of relationships. And I have so many I have so many, I I guess partners maybe that I love with all my heart that I'm not sexual with, and yeah, I think all these things, it's like every relationship is so unique and beautiful. I think it's important to just be present with the dynamics of what our relationships are, and not too caught up in stories of romanticism. Yeah, but maybe this is going far into the non-monogamy realm, but we can bring it back to pleasure parties, pleasure play parties. Um,
They're very, obviously, and yeah, what's coming through as well. Thank you for sharing sharing your perspective and answering that question for first time asking it. So I'm grateful for that perspective. And yeah, you too. Well, I have a because Danielle, you've been navigating the play space before you met, and I'm just curious now that you have a primary relationship, I'm what you call it. How do you navigate space differently when you go to play parties
Well,
together?
me and Alfina went to a play party just the other night, and it was really really fun one. Well, we didn't really discuss boundaries specifically for that party before, although we could have, and that might have been better. But we discussed pretty clear our boundaries in our relationship in general, of what we feel comfortable, what we're comfortable with. And, is it all right I share what our
Yeah,
boundaries
please.
are? Yeah. I guess
Yeah.
so.
Oh, what our boundaries are? Okay, sure. I thought you were gonna share like asking what maybe we can just share more around like our experience at the play party together and then also like how we're doing this next play party together based off of that play party. I think that might be more relevant.
Yeah, I think there might be that are playing this and listening to this, and maybe they've attended a play party or they haven't, but it's like
and,
imagine speaking to them about what's been supportive, maybe what hasn't worked, what
and
you
I'll
from
say
it.
too, this
You,
was maybe a temple event as opposed to a play party, a little bit different, right?
Mhm.
But and this was also
you
with
sorry, just
pants or panties on, so it was like a non, it's like a minimal genital realm temple event. So focus is really, oh,
sorry, sorry to interrupt. Can you just for the viewers and people that don't know, can you explain the difference
sure.
between a temple night and a
Well, in
party?
my view, temple night is really more of a intentional, healing, focused gathering. It's not necessarily sexual at all. Um, ten, Generally are very sensual, touch positive, like healing, massage, sensual touch, playing in the realms of sensuality. Um, and temple events can be sexual as well, certainly, but aren't necessarily. I mean, same with play parties too. Maybe they aren't necessarily sexual, but in my head, play parties are a little more loose, not as um,
Intentional, I
maybe
would say.
prayerful. Yeah, yeah, intentional. Where everybody's kind of setting intentions together, and it's a lot more space for maybe sacredness and kind of spiritual epiphany, or those like like those moments of just um, like just blissful being, and people get really enraptured and like eye gazing and just intoning together, making beautiful, the most
Smacking each
pleasurable,
other with
the most
roses.
pleasure, most pleasurable sounds that you can create together, right? That's what a that's what it's all for me. That's why I go, is so I can make like the most pleasurable sound. My
What's your
most
most pleasurable?
pleasurable sound.
Oh no, I couldn't really hear that.
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit.
It's got to be a collab though. It's when you build sounds together. You're like mirroring each other's um, tones, and people start resonating emotional tones together. And this can happen in a group. Groups pretty easily, and with a partner, it can so easily flow into like an elastic experience. Also,
You're cutting out a lot. Are you
Alfina,
having trouble hearing him and
Yeah, do you
seeing
have
him? Danielle, we
Yeah,
can't hear you or
um,
see you. You're cutting out. I think you can, hopefully you can find better connection.
Okay, I'm going to come closer to the Wi-Fi.
maybe you can move closer to.
Maybe you can go into the kitchen.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, is that a little better?
Yeah, for the study about topic
So
play parties.
I
Um,
was I was talking
well,
on energetic cultivation and energetic orgasmic experiences. Can you hear me, Heather?
I
Great.
can. Yeah, you're still a bit fuzzy. The,
So I
sound
turned
quality.
my camera off. Can you hear me better
No,
now?
we
Can you
want
guys
your
hear
camera
me
on
better?
though. We want
Ah,
your camera on.
of course you do. Hmm. Maybe if you guys mute your mics, it could be better too.
It sounds good now.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
you sound.
Cool. Let's
Hmm?
just roll for it. Roll with it. So, I was talking about energetic cultivation and energy orgasm. So, in group, it's like energetic cultivation is for me, it's when groups of people or partners are mirroring and amplifying each other's like deep emotional tonal grunts and frequencies, right? So we're making these deep emotional like grunts and sounds, and when our partners are mirroring those sounds, it like brings us into this state of oneness. So like, and when we amplify each other's beautiful deep, pleasurable or grieving sounds. It's all tied together, right? It's like pleasure and grief and sadness are tied together. Can you hear me?
We had just had a comment saying that you can't hear us.
Yeah.
Can you?
It's-
Yeah, we'll hear what she says.
Oh,
But just
and Heather, you can't hear me either?
we
I can. You're a bit
we can
choppy.
hear
Okay.
I'm
you, but
following.
someone just commented that they couldn't hear us, so we're just clarifying from them.
If you
But she was
can
also
hear me,
asking,
then if you can hear me, then most people probably can.
well, she was also asking in the chat
Okay.
if these energetic orgasm experiences are mostly in temples or play parties.
Oh,
And we
I
were
have
saying
them
that
all the time. I'm always rolling through it. I'm always
okay.
rolling through the energy. No matter where I go, I'm like, I have energetic orgasms pretty regularly,
So
and throughout my day even.
let's
But
so
um,
let's like go back to the play party thing for a moment and talk about
sure.
like the energetic orgasms in those spaces. And maybe for somebody who's like wondering what that could look like maybe we can give them an example of like an energetic orgasm that we experienced or you experienced at the temple the other night.
Sure. Well, I mean, like Yumi and one of our friends were all like cuddling on the couch, right? And we were just like
Yeah.
toning together, right? Sharing like deep emotional grunts and sounds and mirroring each other's sounds. And it just escalates, amplifies and escalates and moves into full body convulsive, like screaming. Our bodies are convulsing and shaking, and we're just screaming and like,
Like having an orgasm.
people might think that yeah, people would think that we're having sex. But me, I mean, I wasn't, it was certainly like turned on, I guess, but it was like, it wasn't in my genitals. I didn't have a heart on, it was like just pulsing through everything. My whole body was convulsing. My whole body was orgastic, not just my genitals. It's really such more like complete holistic experience, and it's so healing. Um, and in
Yeah, it's connected very much to release, to letting go and surrendering, and like that sounds like the core aesthetic orgasm. Because I've experienced other people like screaming, releasing, ceremony, for example, where I'm feeling pleasure and connection, where I'm like, yes, there we go. Yes, like feeling lighter, connected to
Yeah.
the collective, and it's really beautiful and different than obviously like a penile, vaginal orgasm using stimulant.
It's
It's cosmic.
cosmic. Yeah, it's like otherworldly,
Mhm.
or like using psychedelics. You know, it's like yeah, you don't need to take drugs to go into those um, otherworldly states. You know, into those non-ordinary states. You can, use sexual energy. And the Taoists, the masters have been teaching techniques for moving sexual energy for vitality, for personal vitality for thousands of years. It really is. It can be used as a powerful healing tool, and move through our body. And I'll say I do consciously move it through my body too. It's not just um, you know something that happens. Hey, what's up, mom? but but
Linda.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I've
something I
heard of the
consciously move through my
concept.
system. If I feel the sexual energy building up, it's like I move it up through my chakras. I move it up to my heart and my third eye. With sound is like the most powerful, and like the sounds are the most obvious way to feel like what the resonance is. It's like, oh, this is like really deep and grunty and sexy. And it's like, oh, I kind of would feel more comfortable with a little more like just hearts feel safer, maybe with more heart space. Yeah, and it'll come back too, so it all comes around again and again. Just keep it cycling and
So,
cycling. But
Yeah, it's sick. So, oh, do you have, if people are just watching, kind of, this is all new to some of our listeners, is there a resource that you would suggest to kind of support people connecting to energetic orgasms and getting energy up through chakras? Like, for me, if I just was hearing this for the first time, I would be like, well, how the heck do I do that? So do you have um, a book or a podcast or a resource that might be
sure.
supportive for people
So I
that
will say, when people ask me that question of like, oh, how do I do this? My reply is the only limit in pleasure is our imagination. So if you let go of the limits of your imagination, you can access realms of pleasure that are, have never been experienced before. The ultimate pleasure, the most pleasurable experience in the universe. You can access those frequencies if you just let go of your imagination. Whether that is full body orgasm or just like the bliss of being. Yeah, the limits of your imagination are the only limits in pleasure. For me, some of the greatest resources have been Montauk Chia is a Taoist sexuality teacher. His book, Multi-Orgasmic Man, and he also does Multi-Orgasmic Woman and Multi-Orgasmic Couple. He has a bunch of other books too. But reading that book, Multi-Orgasmic Man, I know there's lots of other resources like that these days. It's an awesome place to start. Yeah. So and maybe I'll bring it back to the play parties, pleasure
yeah,
parties.
I would love.
And we chose pleasure parties too because like play parties have like just for the title of this live stream. Play parties tend to have like a very sexual connotation. That's kind of like the first thing you think. My parties are not necessarily that sexual, or like the gatherings that I host with people. Generally very sensual, touch positive, healing energy positive, and sometimes there's sexuality for sure, but a lot of it's very just innocent, like playing, playing like children, and sometimes that's like naked playing. It's like my friends, we find ourselves four of us like hanging out playing naked in a little bathtub, or doing full body hot oil massages, and we're all just naked playing, but it's really not sexual, and it's like very playful, just playful and innocent and sweet. Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like playing little kids. Yeah, we're adults. How do adults play? How do we tap into that play space that most of us lost when we were 10 years old, right? Trying to be cool because we're too cool for it. How do we tap into that? It's really powerful and cathartic and just healing in general. But yeah, I like to host lots of gatherings at my house. Generally, I like to host sex positive events. Again, sex is a beautiful thing, and I think it's wonderful and not something to be ashamed of. And I am stoked on any spaces that are sex positive. And generally, I mean that like party at my house, you don't normally see people just having sex in the living room or whatever. It's like people are, it's like just total presence, like the total presence, without any expectation. Oh, where is this going? Are we gonna go into the other room soon? Or it's like no, we're like all in this, going for this infinite orgasmic moment, and I guess that might be kind of the difference too between temples and play parties too. It's like maybe the temple events are more focused on like the infinite orgasmic moment, like every moment being a peak experience, and there's no expectation. This isn't going somewhere. We're not building a relationship necessarily, or maybe I don't know, but it's like we're not building up to sex. No, we're just like peaking now, right? In this eye gaze, in this breath, and maybe like uh, almost in an almost kiss, right? Peak experience in almost kissing. And there's so many ways to have peak experience, and uh, yeah, I mean, and personally, I'm like, I tend to be more like sex specifically. It's mostly reserved for my partner. Maybe some rare situations, I don't know, but like something I prefer to do with somebody that I feel really comfortable with, and that I'm like feel secure with, and know really well, and love. Right? Like that makes the best sex. But sensuality is pretty easy, for me anyway. Like being sensual, touching, massaging, maybe some like just energetic, making sounds together. That's the biggest thing, is like just making sounds together. Like it's so powerful. It's so beautiful.
Thank you
So
so much for sharing.
pleasurable.
Thank you so much
Yeah.
for sharing all of this. It's just like, it's so refreshing to hear someone talk about sexuality and sensuality in this way. It's honestly so rare, and it's so healing just to hear the way that you view it and the way that it can be so innocent. That sensuality is so innocent. It's just the earth. It's just our life force. It's just who we are. And the more that we just embrace that, the more that we embrace our sensual pleasures in every moment, like that eternal orgasm, then the more alive that we fully are living our lives. And I think when we're like holding ourselves back from expressing our sexuality and our sensuality, we're really just resisting being alive. It's like the most natural thing to life. And well, you could kind of explain how you feel safer, like in certain sexual dynamics, with like a partner versus group settings, and or with other people. And I'm curious to hear, like, you've been to a fair number of different play parties, temple nights, experiences. You also have your own personal parties at your home. So, what do you prefer? And like, I don't know, like, what do you prefer, and why do you, or what kind of like, and how do you curate your events based off of your preferences?
So I'll say I do consider myself like a teacher and somebody that's able to hold space for others. So in like group or like somewhat public temple spaces. I often find myself holding a lot of space, or like feel like I need to hold a lot of space in those settings. Um, and so, with saying that, I do prefer to just play with my friends and people that I love and know and already feel safe with, and who I don't have to hold space for. Right? I love being yeah. So, like at my house, I have a couple of friends over, and I don't have to hold any space. People know the vibes. People know. Um, yeah, people know me. So I feel a lot more comfortable just with my close friends, really, especially like yeah, it's like I think a lot of people probably would feel that way.
Mhm.
Or maybe some people feel the opposite, right? Where it's like they would not want to be sexual around their friends, but around strangers, maybe it's like, oh, okay, that's a little more like they can let loose a little more. I don't know. Personally, I prefer to be around people that I like trust and know and love. And um, I'm not into casual sex for sure, personally. I like to get to know people. I like to know people for a long time. I like to have consistent relationships that are consistent and like with people that I'm gonna know for a long time and go deeper with. And yeah, in group settings too. It's like I'd rather be with people that I'm like going deep with and know for a long time. And I'm fortunate enough to have a community like that I feel really, safe with, and who are, into, sex positive type spaces. Um, let's see here. And,
Yeah.
and also it's like yeah, I like I said too, I'm like pansexual, but um, yeah, I'm down to be sensual with people that I don't know at all, and make fun sounds. And if there's a resonance and a vibe, it's like, yeah, let's freaking roll.
Yeah.
Let's amplify each other's pleasure and like go there and ride the wave. But when it comes to sex, I'm like, oh, I don't know. Everybody has so much different meaning around it, and even when it's discussed beforehand, which is very important to discuss the meaning of your sexual connection, along with like health and a list of other things are important to discuss before being sexual with somebody, I think. But I like to do the RBDSMA, is what check relationship status, hard boundaries, and body limitations, desires, sexual health, STIs, meaning, and aftercare. Like, what do you need after a sexual relationship, right? A sexual connection.
Sorry, I'm just
Uh,
remembering the aftercare specific request that I asked you when I first met you that you definitely followed
it
through
was
on. So
worth it. It
it
was
paid
well
out.
worth it. Well worth it. Follow through.
For any
Aftercare.
listeners, don't be afraid to ask for what you want. Like, ask for what you want. That'll make you feel secure in the connection. It doesn't matter if you think it's crazy and they'll never do it. Like, if they care about you enough, they'll do it.
It makes it much on if you
Yeah.
ask for it. And they can but it's statistically more likely if you ask
Statistically, way more
for
likely.
it is statistically
And,
much higher in this
Yeah.
and
life,
this kind
you
of
know.
just like brings me back to I just wanted to like finish answering a question you had asked earlier, Heather, which is like for anyone that's out there that's watching this as a couple in an open relationship or wants that and wants to explore play parties, but
Yeah.
maybe you're like, how do I
Or
do that
maybe you're
with a partner?
monogamous and want to explore play parties too.
Yeah,
That's
maybe you're
fine.
monogamous and you want to explore play parties too, of course. So how do you do that and create safety in a relationship? I feel like this is something that I'm learning right now, but like for me, what really helped me to feel safe going into that setting, because I'm not gonna lie, like I was a little nervous because like, yeah, like we've talked about our boundaries and our desires and our all of this, but like we didn't really specifically talk about this play party. But I feel very safe in our connection. I feel very chosen and we have really clear communication. But there was like a little bit of anxiety that was like hitting me before the experience. I realized in my body like a little bit of like contraction. But something that helped me to feel really safe was Danielle was just like so present with me, even like in hours before. It was just holding me and kissing me and just like so like clear in his desire for me. And even when we were like sitting in the opening ceremony, just like there, like clearly like being like, this is my partner. Like we're together. There's like no doubt about it. So then that way when we like opened up into a more exploratory place, I just felt like, okay, like everyone knows that I'm chosen. I feel chosen, and now I actually feel really safe to just explore, and like he can go explore, and we can kind of do our own things. But then like there would always be this like moment where we're like checking in, and I can't tell you like on a timer, but it was like there's just like a certain time where like maybe you're just like making eye contact, your partner makes eye contact with you from across the room, and you're just checking in that moment, in that eye contact, in that embrace of like, you're good, I'm good, okay. Or maybe you're coming in and checking in, and he comes and he gives me a hug and a kiss from behind. Maybe he comes and slaps my ass and we're laughing, you know. Or maybe he's having an experience with someone dancing, and then he like pulls me into their dance, and now we're all dancing and we're all laughing. Or I'm spanking my friend with roses, and then he comes over and he wants to sit underneath me while I'm getting spanked with roses. Not like any of these, you know, happened or anything, but these are just examples. So like there's this like really beautiful dance that you can have with your partner, right? Where you can like be playing together and then like weaving in and out together. And something that is important in our connection that we both expressed is that if we are feeling this like stronger connection deepening with someone else, that we at least have an invitation. So like we have an opportunity to like be included. So that feels really important for us to be like, hey, babe, do you want to come be a part of what's happening here if we're not already part of it, right? And then that way we feel like we're being invited in and we have the option to choose. And then we don't have to say yes, but at least there's an
And I'll say
opening
too,
there.
and that's a preference too. It's not a boundary, right? It's like it's a preference for both of us. It's different than a boundary. I think those are, you know, important distinctions to have with people. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's a preference for both of us on both sides. It's like, oh, if I'm with somebody, I'd rather if Alfina was included, right? And I think you feel the same way. So I mean, that's really, really awesome. I don't know.
Yeah. So those are just some things that we've been,
Well,
yeah, moving through recently that I'm sure could help someone listening.
Oh, and we
But
were
we're,
talking too about like what do we call them? Like
yeah, for Thursday,
a
we're
safe
getting
word.
clearer.
A
We're even
safe
getting
word.
clearer. Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, what were you gonna say?
we have two points I'd love
Oh,
to address and answer.
we also
One,
discussed like
what aftercare
oh,
is.
a safe word. Like if one of us is in a situation that we don't really want to be in, it's like, get me out of this. A get me out of this situation word.
Or where one person might not feel like safe, like they might be feeling really triggered or hurt. So like a safe word to communicate to the other person, hey, like can we go and just have a moment to like work through this without being like, I'm feeling triggered in the middle of a play party.
I
Oh
see a
yeah.
couple questions here from
That.
creating safe spaces. Should we look at
Heather
those?
has a
Let's
question
see.
too.
I don't have a question.
Yeah.
I just have an answer.
Do you want to share,
But
Heather?
anyway, the question, creating safe spaces, what can aftercare look like? What's the range? Aftercare is anything that you need and at all that you desire to express with someone that you could potentially be connecting with physically. And for me, it's looked like it's different for each partner, but it's been something along the lines of like, I would love good morning and good evening text message. I would like for you to check in on me in 3 days and ask me how I'm doing. Go for a walk in the park together and integrate our experience. I would like to keep the lines of communication open and remain friends. I would like to talk to you again. Whatever feels good for you in that relationship with that person, you get the opportunity to express. And they may say yes, they may say no, but it's just a platform for people to share what taking care of you after a physical and experience can be.
Yeah.
I hope that lands.
And it can be like,
Yeah.
you can ask for a handwritten letter in the mail, and like a love letter, a poem. You can be asked to be taken out on a 5-star fancy date restaurant. Like, the sky's the limit.
But you can ask aftercare could just be directly after the experience. Hey, after we physically connect, I would like for you to hold me for 15,
And then
20
never
minutes.
talk to me again.
I would like a massage.
Just kidding.
Could be. It
Whatever.
could be. It could be like,
everyone.
I don't want to have any contact.
Yeah.
After that.
Yeah.
That
Can be either
people
way.
have that type of thing too. Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's all like whatever works for you is what works for you, and it's you. And if you don't share it, that person doesn't have the opportunity to meet it. So, well, to please share your aftercare needs. It is
really
a game
is.
changer.
And you're not like waiting around,
I
like
know.
wondering, like, are they gonna do this? Are they gonna do this? It's just like you're clear from the beginning, and it feels really clean and really fulfilling.
But these questions can be a little awkward too to ask, like when you're all feeling all it can be awkward to like, okay, let's discuss all this logistical stuff around our sexuality. A lot of people just don't know any of the answers to, so it can be a little tricky too. Ideally it's something that you discuss, so like kind of casually throughout the day or something. Is how I like to do it, or like you discuss it casually throughout an evening, and then get to a point where you feel safe with the person. These key things can make it feel much safer. But some people just are stoked on it. I don't know, me, if somebody wants to bring this stuff up, I'm just like, oh, sweet. Yeah, let's like just go over them all. Yeah, great, real quick or whatever. And other people, it's like really off-putting. So I don't know. I've definitely had lovers that are kind of like, oh, why are you getting all in your head? I was all like in my kinesthetic body, and right. It's like, okay, well, we'll get there. We'll get back there. And sometimes we don't, and that's okay too.
You desire to have this conversation with someone else, that could be an indicator that maybe they're not like someone you want to, like, it can be a source of information, and it's really a conversation for see if there's alignment, because there's a really component of like the MBD, I forget that word.
RBDSMA. Such a weird acronym.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And the letters up, but it's perfect. But the like experience mean, and if someone's like, this means I want to have your babies, and the other person's like, this means nothing to me and I just want to experience, like that's an opportunity for you to be like, hey, this actually doesn't feel in alignment. I'm really happy we had a conversation. I release you. So yeah, it's like, it's so much more like, okay, this is a fact of the fact that we're definitely going to, it's also an exploratory space to see if you actually want to engage with someone and share your energy. So yeah, I found it really sexy. The conversation I had, the first one I had, was hot. It was like a 2-hour conversation, crying and like sharing so vulnerably, and yeah, it was really beautiful for me, and I loved it. I loved the clarity. Truth is hot. Communication is hot. It's such a give it to me.
And also, I just want to answer this other question that we had about if there's single men at these play parties. She says it sounds like there's a lot of single women and couples. There's definitely at every play party, temple night I've been to, I almost feel like there's higher ratio of single men than anyone else.
Usually organizers will try and keep balanced numbers, balanced male and female numbers also. That's pretty common.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it depends on the party. Like there's physical clubs and spaces and variety of cities around the world that are open to the public, and I've have a higher level of energy. But I think that in other play party spaces I've experienced or pleasure party spaces, it's been a pretty equal scale of men and women, if not more women, to be
Yeah,
honest.
different people, different parties have different invitation schemes. Some of them are like women can bring a guest, things like that. That's a common one, right? It's like you can only come if you're invited by a woman.
Yeah, they do
That's
that at
one of
Hedone,
the.
the temple nights there. Yeah.
I think that's a common one. I think that's really helpful. Let's see here. Uh, you guys have any more questions for me? I was like, there's something else I was wanting to. Oh, I wanted to share kind of how I like kind of how these gatherings got started. Like at my house was really with massage parties. So we would just put put everybody's name in a randomized. I have like an app that just randomizes everyone's name, or you pull names out of a hat, right? And then everybody gets 10 minutes on the massage table. And so we have like multiple hand massage. Everybody's giving massage. Everybody was receiving massage. Everybody gets a 10 or 15-minute massage, depending on how many people there are, right? We time it out. And then we pull another name out. And by the end, everybody just is just massaging each other, and half the people are naked, and it's just like everybody's just massaging each other. There's, a couple different spots. People are receiving massage. I have like, I don't know, I have like a vibrating massage table. It's really extra fun, but like, yeah, by the end, everybody's just like kind of cuddle puddle massage pile. Everybody's just massaging everybody, right? And it's really, whose leg is this? I don't know. Who cares, right? It's just a leg that I'm massaging.
Oh
And
yeah.
I think
Is
that
that right?
evolved a lot too with like Betty Wilson's is that Betty Wilson? Her what is it? Um the I'm blinking 3 minute game, Wheel of Consent, is like exploration into giving, what it feels to give energy, what it feels to take energy, and how it feels also in receiving those things. And there's like activities around that. 3 minute game activity is just so powerful way to explore boundaries, especially in groups, explore boundaries and explore our ability to ask for our desires, and to say no and to receive no's as well. So I recommend learning about the 3 minute game, learning about the wheel of consent. Uh, eh, yeah, as well as like such a powerful way to explore intimacy. And it's really fun in groups too. I've had, yeah, I just remember such ecstatic experiences, like with, yeah, in groups, other guys, other women, yeah, just mind-blowing things that
Like when there were the
involve
three lionesses
that.
devouring me.
That sounds great. I mean, I'm thinking of one in particular time where I was being lifted up in the air by one of my strong guy friends. He was like holding me up in the air while my partner at the time was like just touching me sensually all over my body, you know, and it's just like such a awesome memory. It was so ecstatic. I just remember laughing so hard.
I wanted to ask you too, like you mentioned, like the power of sexuality being so healing and sensuality being so healing, and you briefly talked about helping with like a neurological disorder that you have. And I'm just curious, like, we only have like 10 minutes or so left, but maybe in just like five minutes or less, just sharing like how, since you've been opening up these pleasure parties and having these experiences, like how that's been healing for you, maybe physically, mentally, and spiritually.
Hmm. Well, like physically, the healing effects are just really obvious for me. So I have tics and twitches, but when I'm in this sensual, erotic, or just playful present space, I don't have any symptoms. I don't have any tics, and it's kind of like a full release, like a total release. So yeah, so super healing for me. Just like it's so obvious physiologically how healing it is. Um, and community dynamics, it just makes me, it's healing for my community. It just makes me feel close to my community. Like I have a really, really strong support network and group of people who I really trust and feel really, really comfortable with, whether that's talking about difficult subjects or health issues or whatever it is, people that I just feel really, really comfortable with. It's so powerful. It's real, so healing for nourishing for communities. Um, Spiritually, I'd say it helps me feel really just empowered and like um, and radiant and confident. It's it really helps my confidence, helps me to feel at ease and with who I am and how I am and um, just being myself. And like when we're ourselves with and let like sexual energy uh course through without being attached to where it's going, it's just so magnetic and attractive to everybody. So it's like the more we free ourselves up in these types of things, the more we attract uh pleasurable experience. Honestly, it's like, and the more magnetic and attractive we become, so it just kind of like amplifies and attracts more pleasure, more beauty of that kind. The more we just allow it and embrace it, and are willing to dive in. Um, yeah, and it can attract our help us to. I believe help us to attract our like real resonant matches as well.
Mm.
Um, it just like puts us in position where we're receptive, and ready and attractive and magnetizing what we want in life in general. Honestly, it just amplifies our magnetism.
Mm. Sex magic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Woo. I feel like we could literally just talk for hours and hours and hours, three of us, about this. But for those of you who just maybe are catching the second half of this, we're SISociety. We have these taboo talks every week, Wednesday, live, where we talk about a different taboo topic. This month it's been play parties, pleasure parties, group sexual, sensual experiences. And we just had a lovely conversation with Danielle Levy. You can watch this full recording on our highlight, also on our Sis YouTube page now. Super exciting. So if you don't watch Instagram, you can use YouTube now. And I want to end this video with just giving you so much gratitude, Danielle, just for you being. You being is just such a gift in itself. And I would love to have you share a little bit more about how viewers can connect to you and connect to your services and your offerings as well after this conversation.
Cool. Yeah. So again, I'm Danielle. You can find me on Instagram and Telegram. DNA Levity is my username. Follow Humandalas, our intention setting activities for groups, and villages.io is a community currency platform. You can check out all of my projects at dnalevity.com. It has a list of all my projects, all my offerings. I live on the big island of Hawaii. If you come out to Puna, send me a message. I'd love to connect.
I'm gonna come visit you in
Come
Puna.
soon, Mama.
Yes, please.
And we can link your other profiles in this description as well, so people can find your other projects too.
Thank
Do you have any final comments, Heather or Danielle?
For me, gratitude. Thank you, Danielle, for your insight, for your heart, for your vulnerability. Both of you, your team, and be learning through your experiences. And yeah, I love you both so much. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Sis wouldn't be sis without you. So stay tuned, and each of you means to us. And please reach questions or you want to get more involved with the community. We have a Q&A app, and we'd love to see you there. There as your first. And yeah, Danielle, anything else you'd like to share,
I
darling?
just love what you guys are doing, and I support you, and I'm stoked to be involved. And yeah, stoked to bring these taboo topics to the surface, so we don't have to feel all uncomfortable and ashamed. Because these things are beautiful. Sensuality, intimacy, and sexuality is beautiful and healing.
Yes, better out.
Heaven on earth, the heaven on earth is within.
Healing and powerful and beautiful and wonderful. It should be celebrated.
What from? We're literally made of sexual. We're built of orgasm. Something to feel in.
Orgasm,
right. We're created by orgasms, people.
You're made. Hello.
Thank
you both so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for inviting me.
I just love your beautiful heart-gasming perspective of the world and of each other. It's so gorgeous and so touching and deeply resonant.
It's all a song. The only limit is our imagination. The only limit to our pleasure is our imagination. That's my closing point.
Well, end it on that, folks. So much love to all of you. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Namaste.
Love you.
Love you. Love you.
Love.